Hello, everyone. Hello, my dear students. We continue our object-oriented programming with C++ course. Next lesson today, we are going to discuss now some software engineering or object-oriented design. So we covered all the basic terms like objects, classes, data members, member functions, constructors, instantiations. But now it's time to think about developing classes, how to create more advanced classes based on the existing classes. And let me remind you, I'm going to use in this course three classes: rectangle, field rectangle, box. And today we are going to discuss box class. Next lesson, field rectangle. So talking about reusing classes, developing classes, basically there are two different techniques. One is called composition, when you insert in a new class objects of another class. And second approach is called inheritance, when you create more advanced class based on the existing class. So using box, I'm gonna show you composition, and using field rectangle class, I'm gonna show you inheritance. So sometimes we call these two techniques has and is. So when I'm using composition, we call it has a. So I have as a members, a data members of my class, other objects. When I'm using inheritance, sometimes we call it is a. So basically, any field rectangle, still rectangle. It's just more advanced. Okay, so basically I'm not changing right now the rectangle class we discussed in the previous lesson, but I'm going to create a new class. It's called box, and I consider box as a combination of 6 rectangles. Box is a 3D shape, but it consists of 6 2D shapes: front rectangle, back rectangle, right rectangle, left rectangle, top, bottom. And also, in order to draw the box, I'm going to need outline character. So I'm showing you the header file for the class box. You know that classes usually created in two files: header file, class interface, data members plus member functions prototypes, and CPP file is member functions implementation. I have a constructor, line 15. In order to create a box, you not only need the width and the height, you need the depth, parameter D. And we still going to define grow method, shrink method, and draw method, or member function. Sometimes I'm using Java terminology. Basically, methods is adopted for a lot of languages, but in C++ we call them member functions. So what you see here, the same member function or method can be defined on different objects. So you may call this feature of object-oriented programming polymorphism. So we have many forms, many different classes and objects, but they may have similar behavior. Let's take a look at the class implementation. So it's pretty simple, but pay attention, please. When I do my constructor, I'm using initialization list. Remember, you have two options to write constructors. You may use initialization list, or you may initialize in the body of your constructor. In this particular situation, when I have objects of another class as a members, as a data members, the only way to call their constructors is the initialization list. So you see my box class being more advanced. First of all, supposed to create all 6 rectangles. So 6 times rectangle constructor going to be called, and then only after you may do something to create a box. So just keep in mind there are 2 different techniques to write constructors, and sometimes this one is the only one you can do, initialization list. Sometimes the body of the constructor is another way to initialize the data members. Grow method, it's pretty simple. I just call my rectangles grow methods. So you see box class grow function, you see shrink function, pretty simple, pretty straightforward. And finally, well, I may try to draw like 3D box on a console window, but it may be a little bit more complicated, so I want to make draw function very simple. I'm gonna call draw function on my front rectangle, but before in line 33 I'm going to just print the depth of my box, line 33. Okay, now my batch file is a little bit longer because I need to compile not only main program, I have to compile 2 classes. Remember, header files automatically connected to the compiling process. And now when we discuss this, this project, now we may have 3 different points of views or 3 different perspectives. We may look at the project from rectangle developer point of view, box developer point of view, or the user of classes. And talking about the user, what I did here is pretty simple. I created a box. You see 4 parameters. I did draw, grow, and draw. And then I did shrink twice and draw. So very simple test. I'm checking my box class using this main function. Okay, now guys, let's compile. So I'm going to my console, and here we are. I have an issue. So what compiler says, you're not allowed to use width member because it's private. Let's take a look at the rectangle class implementation, and what I see, I'm allowed to use grow, shrink, and draw methods. They are public, but I'm not allowed to use the width and height and outline. They all private. So I may talk if I'm a box class developer, I may talk to my rectangle developer and I may explain the problem. And what he may do to me, rectangle developer, he may provide me a couple of getters. So getter is a very common solution when you don't want to make your members public. At the same time, you want to allow read-only access to them. So getters, line 16 and 17, they return us the width of the rectangle, the height of the rectangle. Those methods are public, so I can use them being the user of the class. At the same time, I'm still not allowed to change width and height members. So let's take now a look at my test. And what I'm going to do here, no, test is still the same. I have a problem here when I implemented draw on box class. So instead of trying to access width directly, I'm using encapsulation recommendations when data members hidden, but I have special method, a getter, to retrieve the width. I hope now the project going to compile properly. Let's try. Yes, no error messages, no warnings. Let's run it. And what I see first, I see how the box is displayed. I see the depth. I see the front rectangle of the box. Then it's incremented. Grow method was called on the box. Remember, we use the same methods, the same member functions on different classes. Polymorphism. Now you see it's 8, you see it's bigger. And then I did twice shrinking, and I see the depth is 6, and it is also displayed on the console window. So today we are going to we did discuss the first technique to develop classes. Sometimes we call it object-oriented design or software engineering. So based on rectangle class, we created more advanced class box. It has rectangles as data members. Box class redefined grow, shrink, and draw methods. And also we found getter methods sometimes are useful because they let us access private member. On the other hand, they don't let us change them. So it's like read-only access to private data members. Thank you very much for watching. Don't forget about likes, about comments, about sharing the videos, guys. And see you soon. All the best. Take care.